Sairam students, let's begin with the today's session of Class 8 History. Children, we are doing the third part of chapter number 10 today. The chapter's name is India After Independence. In our content, children, if you remember, we have already completed with the topic A New and Divided Nation. We have already started with the topic A Constitution is Written. Still today also we'll be continuing with the same topic, A Constitution is Written. But before coming to the today's points, let us discuss what we have learned in our last live lecture. Okay, what did we see in that? We have seen the Constitution was written in between December 1946 and November 1949, right? And for that we saw like some 300 Indians, they had the series of meetings on the country's political future. Then we saw the meetings of this Constituent Assembly were also held in New Delhi, right? Then finally we saw that it resulted in the framing of the Indian Constitution, which came into effect on, yes, 26th of January 1950. Yeah. Then what have we seen? We have seen one feature of the Constitution was its adoption of universal adult franchise. You have understood the meaning of this very well, right? All Indians above the age of 21 would be allowed to vote in state and national election. See, initially it was 21, but then it was changed to 18 years, right? Then we have learnt about the second feature of the Constitution was that it guaranteed equality before the law to all citizens, regardless of their caste or religion, right? So these topics we have covered in our live session. Now in this video lesson, you will be learning about the next third feature of the Constitution. Let's begin with that. This is what we have already seen in our last live lecture, right? These two features. Now moving to the next one. A third feature of the Constitution was that it offered special privileges for the poorest and the most disadvantaged Indians. Now here children, we are talking about the practice of untouchability, right? The practice of untouchability was described, it was described as a slur and a blot on the fair name of India. So that was abolished. But what is that? The fair name. See, India's name is fair, but that phrase has been given as a slur and a blot. That means mark of disgrace. That is given on the name of fair name of India. That is the practice of untouchability was considered as the mark of disgrace. That was abolished, right? And then the Hindu temples previously open to only the higher caste. Now understand it. Previously it was open only for the higher caste, were thrown open to all, including the former untouchables. So that was a change there, right? Now let's move to the next. After that, what happened? After a long debate, the Constituent Assembly also recommended that a certain percentage of seats in legislature as well as jobs in government should be reserved for the members of the lowest caste. Children, if you will compare this with the political science, you have seen the reservations, right? We have learnt in our chapter in political science about this reservation. It is like even the lower caste has the reservations today. See, actually social science, you have to connect all the three subjects to each other. So here we can have that comparison with the political science. You have learnt about the reservations for the lower caste, right? As well as for the women also we have seen. So after a long debate, the Constituent Assembly recommended like some percentage of seats should be reserved for the lower classes. Then it had been argued by some that untouchable, or as they were known as Harijan, these candidates did not have good enough grades, like the grades that are required for joining the prestigious Indian administrative service. This is what it was believed in that way. The untouchables, that means the Harijan candidates, they don't have that much good enough grades to join that prestigious Indian administrative services. So this was it was like argued by some that untouchables are not fit to join IAS, that is Indian Administrative Service. But then what happened then? But as a member of the Constituent Assembly, what happened? H.J. Khandekar, what did he say? He argued that it was the upper caste who were responsible for the Harijans. See, one of the member of the Constituent Assembly, Mr. H.J. Khandekar, what did he say? He said the upper caste is only responsible for the Harijans. That means they are being unfit today. They are the caste that is responsible for making this Harijans unfit is the upper caste. Then addressing his more privileged colleagues, he has still added something else in that. He said, "We were suppressed for thousands of years. You engaged us in your service to serve your own ends and suppressed us to such an extent that neither our minds nor our bodies and nor even our hearts work, nor are we able to march forward." See, these are the really, you can, when you go through these words, it really touches your heart. What did he say? See, it is the upper caste is the responsible caste which have made these Harijans unfit for everything. They were suppressed for thousands of years. But then after the reservations, then they were like they could get the good jobs also in the government as well as in legislative assemblies also. But before that, it was really very difficult for the untouchables and Harijans to work. They were suppressed for thousands of years and they were engaged in only in the services for to serve other people, to serve their ends, and they were even their minds and bodies, they were not working at all. Even their hearts doesn't work. So this is what this Khandekar, he has tried to describe the feelings of the Harijans here. Then he has said that along with the former untouchables, the Adivasis, or we can say the scheduled tribes, they were also granted reservations in seats and jobs, right? You have learnt about the Adivasi tribes also, right? And we have seen now even they have the reservations. So, like the scheduled caste, these Indians too have been deprived and discriminated against. Even the scheduled tribes, that is Adivasis, even they had been neglected from the society. But after the reservations and everything, even they could achieve their jobs wherever, whenever they can require. So the tribals had been deprived of modern healthcare and education, while their lands and forests had been taken away by more powerful outsiders. I hope you all remember this very well, how the lands of the Adivasis were taken away by the contractors, right? Then the new privileges granted them by the constitution were meant to make amends for this. Now the new points that has been included in the constitution will grant the reservations as well as the jobs to the scheduled caste as well as to the scheduled tribes. The Constituent Assembly spent many days discussing the powers of the. See, after this issue, the new another debate started here. The Constituent Assembly spent many days discussing about the powers of the central government versus those of the state government. Now, the question arises here like how the powers should be distributed among the central government and the state government. Then what happened there? In some members, they thought that the center's interest should be the foremost. That means the central government should be taken into consideration. It should be the foremost. Only a strong center, it was argued, would be in the position to think and plan for the well-being of a country as a whole. This was the belief by some of the members. They were saying that only a strong center can be having that position to think and plan for the well-being of the other citizens of the country as a whole. That means they will take into consideration all the individuals of that particular country. So other members felt that the provinces should have greater autonomy and freedom, whereas others they were having the opposite arguments for that. They were believing the a state can do better way in that way. If the state has given that authority, they can work in that way. Whereas some were in the hope like central government can take this step. Central government is the only one. Center can only think and plan for the well-being of everyone. So again, a member from the Mysore, he feared that under the present system, democracy is centered in Delhi and it is not allowed to work in the same sense and spirit in rest of the country. See now here you can see the views of different members. Now a member from Mysore has a fear in that way, like the present system. Democracy is centered only in Delhi and it is not allowed to work in the same sense and spirit in the other parts of the country. Then a member from Madras, even he insisted that the initial responsibility for the well-being of the people of the provinces should rest with the provincial government. It means they were believing that particular province can only think of the well-being of the people, those who are living in that particular state or in that province. So they were believing that the provinces should have that authority, they should have that power so that they can work for the well-being of the people. Now what happened here? The constitution sought to balance. Now constitution has to think of some way to balance all these things, right? Like to give the powers either to the central government or to the state government. Now the step that constitution took here is the constitution sought to balance these competing claims by providing three lists of subjects. Now here the debate has been stopped here by providing by settling down that claims by giving the three list of subjects. Now let's see how that three list of subjects is going to help us here. First was a union list. What the union list? Union means it means connected to center, right? With subjects such as taxes, defense and foreign affairs, which would be the exclusive responsibility of the center. This is what was given in the union list. That means the taxes, defense and the foreign affairs, all these matters would be exclusively seen by the center only. It will be only the responsibility of the center to look after into all these subjects, into all these matters that are provided in the union list. Then the second one was a state list. Now what that state list was indicating here? A state list of subjects such as education and health, which would be taken care of principally by the states. Now this was the state's duty to look after the education as well as the healthcare facilities of that state. Okay, that was given in the state list. Now the third one, a concurrent list. Now what was there in the concurrent list? Concurrent list under which would come subjects such as forest and agriculture, in which the center and the states would have joint responsibility. See now the constitution has sorted out this matter in such a way, like the three lists were made. One was the union list, second was the state list and the third was the concurrent list. And the duties have been divided equally among each other. Like in union list, the subjects such as taxes, defense and foreign affairs that were taken care by the center. Okay, and state list, the education and healthcare facilities of that particular state will be taken by the state itself. Then the concurrent list gives us the matters here, that gives us the subjects such as forest and agriculture, in which the center and the states would have the joint responsibility. So children, let us revise what we have seen in the today's video lesson. See, today we have seen in the topic is a constitution is written only. We have continued with the same topic. Then we have seen the third feature of the constitution, that is it offered the special privileges for the poorest and the most disadvantaged Indians, that is the practice of untouchability was abolished, right? Then we saw like it was the Hindu temples were open for everyone. Even the untouchables can go to the temple whenever they want. Then the long debate started on the seats, right? The percentage of seats in legislature as well as the jobs in government be reserved for the members of the lowest caste. That was also there. Then the next we saw like H.J. Khandekar. He has argued about like who is responsible. Upper caste. They were only the responsible for the Harijans being unfit today, right? Then he addressed by giving some words also there. We have learned that. After that, untouchables, we saw the Adivasis or the scheduled tribes who were granted, they were also granted the reservations in seats and jobs, right? After that, we have seen the tribals. Then we saw the Constituent Assembly. They spent many days discussing about the powers of the central government versus those of the state government. Finally, to sort out that, the Constitution sought to balance these claims by providing three lists of subjects, right? We saw the three lists. Which were the three lists? A union list, a state list, and a concurrent list, right? Then we have seen the subjects that were given to the union list, that were given to the state list, that were given in the concurrent list to look after, right? So this is what the centers and the state like that powers were divided equally among them. So this is what we have learnt in the today's video lesson. Still the topic a constitution is written. We will be continuing in the next lecture, children. Till then, children, take very good care of your health. Thank you so much.